going on, everybody? Welcome back to the America First Warehouse, to the Know Your Enemies podcast. I'm James Justice. We got Stephen Ruth over here.
At the America First Warehouse, the most patriotic venue in all the land.
That's right, that's right. I hope everybody's having a fantastic beginning of the week. And
Fighting!
yeah, man. We are in a revolution right now, man. You see everything's going on with Tesla and these psycho goblins that have went all over the country to go protest and stand in front of these dealerships with their green hair and pasty legs. It's pretty crazy, man.
It's like one has absolutely nothing to do with the other.
No. And our buddy David Zier was out there asking questions to a lot of the protesters on the other side. And they have literally no answers. They have no idea why they're out there. They just hate Elon Musk, and they think that he has an unofficial position as president inside the administration.
It's crazy.
I don't get it.
You know, it's some kind of programming where they get these ideas and how they get them and what makes them actually carry out an agenda that they don't even know anything about.
Yeah, I know exactly what it is. It's the media.
It's not the flicker rate.
It's the mainstream media that put out all of this propaganda with hatred. And how many times has CNN, MSNBC, NBC, all of these news hosts called Trump a Nazi? Right? Oh, he's mimicking Hitler. Look at him. Look at the salutes they give. They try to compare the "My heart goes out to you" salute with, being Hitler. Like, Trump and Elon Musk came out of the stage doing it.
I thought maybe it was some kind of technical ability within these mainstream media networks, like within the flicker rate that actually programs the people.
Yeah, that's a big factor.
It's like an MS. What do they call it? MK Ultra, like programming.
Yeah. Well, the flicker rate that they have puts you in a trance, and that's why you ever see somebody watching like a show on TV and you call their name and they don't respond. You gotta call it like 3 times, and the last one you guys be like loud, because they're literally in a trance, and you have to snap them out of that trance, and they're like, huh? And they didn't even hear anything you said, They're like,
see,
what
when
did you say?
I just got smacked right into reality.
It's crazy. So these Tesla morons are, they're becoming a nuisance, and, they try to say that, oh, no, they're just peaceful protesters and this and that. So we're going to roll a video real quick and kind of go through some of the scenarios that we've been facing here with these dealerships being vandalized and everything like that. So let's pull that up.
Shot it and threw Molotov cocktails into several vehicles. Look at the scene
just
there.
destroying
in a string of attacks
property.
targeting Teslas.
This is
Tesla
nothing different than
the country,
Black Lives Matter destroying
anger
Manhattan
towards
and
Elon
all the other
Musk
cities.
and his massive federal
Private
cuts from
businesses.
Doge. The Vegas attack. A suspect was seen setting cars on fire at the Tesla Collision Center early this morning.
Oh my
and the word resist.
Yeah. Look at this guy.
Yeah, you're Elon Musk, huh? Freaking rocket man?
Look at his car. Look at his car.
F you like you're screwing us, you prick. Yeah, huh?
These people have mental disorders. Like anybody that look at this guy. Anybody that does.
Take a look at this. This is
Your
video
pants
from the
down.
Vidcom Tesla
And this is
camera.
another psycho.
It shows a green car pulling up.
Yeah,
to a
these people
Tesla
are out of their
busy
minds.
So
Route
now the lady
66,
in this car
then
is an
swerving
elderly
in
woman.
front to box the
She was like
Tesla
60-something years
in.
old.
The driver then walks over to the 61-year-old woman in the Tesla and
he
reportedly starts
punched her
hitting
and
her
assaulted
while
her
she's
and
sitting behind the wheel.
because she's
At one
driving
point,
a
the woman
Tesla.
says she bit
I mean, look at the way
man's
they're
hand.
dressed, the
Moments
people that
later,
are
the
actually
passenger of the green car appears
doing
to walk over
these acts.
and pull
The
the
passenger
attacker
had to pull them away.
They finally get back in their car and drive off.
These are
We
not
spoke to the
normal
victim
people.
today who said she was
They're not
terrified
functioning
and
members
can't
of society.
understand why
No, not at
anyone
all.
would do this.
Not at all.
I
They're
was
like
just stunned.
basement dwellers.
And then
in
this
their
lady
parents'
was so
basements.
scared and in fear because of what happened. She gave her testimony.
Someone with me that
I
would
really-
have protected me.
Yeah,
I'm just appalled. I didn't buy my car for a
Anonymously,
political
like
statement.
what do you call it?
They blacked
I
her
bought
out.
my car because it's really fun to drive, and
It's not blackface, is it?
my politics have nothing to do with that.
I hope that
And
doesn't count.
I'm
don't
ashamed
wanna get
of our
canceled.
society.
The issue is
But yeah,
who
it's
is technically
ridiculous.
the administrator, who has the title. Elon
So
Musk is
this is
clearly
Bernie
running
Sanders
the
calling,
show. The wealthiest
Trump
person
a Nazi,
in
basically.
the world, who has enormous conflicts of interests, who is helping to fund right-wing extremist organizations all over the world, who is looking forward to get
never
massive
see
tax
the
breaks
right-
from Congress.
So now these are the protesters they brought out for us. This is hilarious.
Put it all on the line. We got Trapped in America.
Trapped in America.
The Red Stick. The Queen of Me.
So these were their front.
With the leader of the Green Goblins for backup.
Leader of the Green
Stay
Goblins.
tuned as they prepare for battle.
Yeah, these people are absolutely nuts.
Yeah, out of their mind.
Shout out to the Long Island MAGA Patriots. Vincenzo, what's up, my dude? He was trolling with the trucks, with the train.
Yeah.
Blasting it.
Wow. Yeah, he's a good dude.
And then I had somebody go over to the protester side, and then this is me, bullhorning the hell out of them, making them feel stupid.
Energy independence, whether you like it or not, you can sit there and cry your liberal tears. I'll come through with my mug and collect them and drink them. Captain America needs a little bit better of a shield. That thing's flying.
Yeah, so these are the people that are showing up at these rallies, completely absent-minded, have no idea what's going on, have no idea about anything regarding like inner politics and how things work. They just show up with the same talking points every single time that they hear off their TV, and it's crazy the stuff these people.
Yeah,
speak.
I wonder how come they don't get bored of the same broadcasting and want to hear other networks.
Because to them, I guess it's empowering. You know, it makes them feel like they are actually have a cause in life and they're fighting against something that they're getting praised for by the mainstream media. And, you know, they're just getting all fueled by the same story all across the country. And then you have these organizations popping up like Tesla Takedown, which is nationwide now, which is kind of crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Especially because the left loved Tesla a few months ago.
Yeah, it's crazy. I got one more video of one of their fierce warriors, the protesters, banging a war drum, and it was real intimidating to see this. Let's roll that clip.
You got small hands.
Oh.
You got baby hands.
Yeah, it's almost to the point where you feel bad for these people.
Now, that was over here?
That was over in Wisconsin.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And this is the type of people, these are the type of physiques that show up over there, man. Yo, it was bad. It was bad. They had something over there that was grotesquely obese, all right, in fishnet stockings. And it was like, yeah, man. It was worse than the goriest movie I ever saw as a child. Put it like that. It was bad. So these people aren't bringing their best when they come. And if you go to UCNYnews.com, I actually have about a 40-minute video worth of all the content I gathered throughout the day. It's epic. You have to see it. You'll be laughing hysterically half the time. And so I got into looking into some of these groups and, you know, trying to find out their background of the funding and who owns what. So let's pull up this graphic real quick, make it real big on the screen. Now,
Soros is always behind it.
Yeah.
He's the real Bond villain.
Yeah, so the Tesla Takedown protest was organized by mainly these groups, all right? You got the Indivisible Project, the Democratic Socialists of America, the Disruption Project, Rise and Resist, and Troublemakers. Sounds like a really Class A group. But so the founders of these companies, the names are on the screen. I can't do everything myself, so I'm going to give you guys a challenge out there as the audience, is to look into these people and track down where their money is, what they've been doing, who they've been donating to, and let's find out a little more background about the founders of these organizations. But what it does show is that a lot of money has been pumped into these organizations through groups like Act Blue. All right, that's not on the screen, but it's what I found out. Act Blue was one of the main organizations that had to do with funding, and another one was the Open Society Foundation, which has to do with George Soros and now Alexander Soros, which is his son, who's assumed the role of the head of the organization. So those are the people involved with these protests. So it's not grassroots at all. It's all bought and paid for, and the website for the Takedown Tesla itself is all bought and paid for by the same groups. So
now, how old is George Soros at this point?
He's up there.
Shouldn't it be time for them to try and remove his brain and put it into a cyborg or a robot?
Yeah, well, the sleeves, they haven't fully rolled out yet to the public.
But that's what they're going to do with George.
Well,
right?
yeah. So basically, the elites of the elites, through all the MRI scans that have taken place throughout the world, they've basically mapped out the neural networks that we have in our brains that give us the consciousness that we have for our memories. And once you're able to basically extract the neuron data inside the brain, you could upload it into a computer and then download it back into, one of these avatars that they have. They have these humanoid robots, and we put it like this: they've been cloning people and animals on record since the 1940s. All right, and they've been doing experiments you could look up before the 1940s that are wild. Like they brought a dog's head, just a dog's head, severed on a table, back to life by simulating the different organs and blood flow. And it was a dog's head that they brought back to life. The thing opened its eyes, started looking around. They were banging mallets on the table. The ears were flinching, like scary.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if it was conscious. I don't know, whatever. But that's back in the 1940s. So if you fast forward to now with all the stuff they have and the technology with AI and everything else, we're here. We're at that point where it's man versus machine, and right now machine is the algorithms are winning, man.
Well, I'm just waiting for eventually. I don't know how old George is. Can we look up how old George Soros is? When is he due to die?
You look that up. I'm going to roll a clip of George Soros giving an interview when he was younger, and he basically admitted that he worked for the Nazis. He helped turn in the Jews and confiscate property, but because, he wasn't really doing it himself, it wasn't a big deal. Let's check this out.
Example that I'm Jewish, and here I am watching these people go. I could just as easily be there. I should be there. None of that.
Well, of course, I could be on the other side, or I could be the one from whom the thing is being taken away. But there was no sense that I shouldn't be there, because
literal Nazis.
That was well, actually, funny way. It's just like in markets, that if I weren't there, of course I wasn't doing it, but somebody else would be taking it away anyhow. In other words, whether I was there or not, I was only a spectator. The property was being taken away. So I had no role in taking away that property. So I had no sense of guilt.
Are you religious?
No.
Do you believe in God?
No.
He's Hungarian.
Soros told us he believes God was created by man, not the other way around, which may be why he thinks he can smooth out the world's imperfections.
Well, there you have it.
So George Soros is 95 years old, and we think that it's time he goes to sleep for good.
Yeah. He needs to be fried in an electric chair, because he has overthrown countless countries with his money and his BS politics and the way
he's after our youth too.
Yeah, 100%. And a lot of people don't realize, right? So I kind of got aggravated on the way here because I was watching a report from Benny Johnson, and he's like, "Oh my God, breaking news! Hitler was in Argentina, and he was never killed." And dude, I knew that for years. That was in the old batch of JFK files that came out with all the records of him in Argentina. So it's not new news. This has been going on forever. And just because the history books that we get taught in school tell you that, oh yeah, America took down Hitler, and yeah, everything was peaches and cream after that, and we defeated socialism. That's not the whole story, all right? Half of those scientists that they had came to work for us in America, and they were brought over here by the CIA and all these other big agencies because they wanted to know exactly what they learned when they were doing weird experiments on the Jews and all the other people that they were, holding hostage and had these crazy doctors. So they didn't do anything but had them come work for us and use them as psychological warfare operations experts on the public here, and it's never stopped. And guys like George Soros and the rest of these people that were involved in that are still here. They still live amongst us. They still bred their children into thinking that socialism is the cure for everything because that's how they got their wealth and power, when that's not the case. So we need to put the nails in the coffins for all of these people that are still walking among us that are active socialists. that just, they need justice.
They fund a lot of violence.
They do, because that's the only way.
And they fund violence against individual property owners, businesses, like privately owned.
Yeah, because if you own private property, it gives you power. It gives you power to tell somebody else, get the hell off my property.
So, yeah, I agree. I think George Soros, you don't need to be prosecuted. Just die already.
Yeah.
Just die.
Yeah, and then we'll let Down Under deal with you,
Yeah, he's got to answer for his actions, just like we all do.
Exactly. So Kash Patel's been doing this thing. We got the leader of one of the leaders
MS-13.
of MS-13 is locked away behind
Nice.
bars and getting ejected out of this country, which is a great thing.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are like in our uproar. They're like, "Oh my God, they're trying to deport."
Let him go back
there
and
he
deal
is.
with their
There's
new.
the monster.
Let him go back and deal with their new president and see how he likes dealing
Yeah.
with his own country.
Yeah. Imagine how many people that guy got killed.
He probably won't last very long in his own country. I'll tell you that.
No.
Over here, he gets a pass. Over here, they get leniency. Not back home. Not with their new president. They're not going to get leniency.
Yeah, no way. So I'm glad to see that these people are getting rounded up. Kash Patel is on his job. One thing I do want to address, though, is what's up with Pam Bondi, man? Are we going to get some arrest or what?
I know a lot of people are saying that she hasn't been up to par. I saw her on InfoWars. They gave her a F.
Yeah, she was supposed to get in and come out the gate swinging right off the gate. High-profile arrest immediately. Like, Diddy's got an open case. We have the Epstein case. We have the Maxwell case. All of these things, they know where the bodies are buried, right? They know who got touched and who didn't. So what's up? Bring it out. Like, the latest news I heard is that there was a tractor-trailer load of evidence that got over there, and now
Yes, I heard
they're
that as well.
distributing that across the country to all the field offices of the FBI, and they're going to be starting these sweeps. We'll see if that happens. We've heard that many times in the past, and nothing's come to fruition yet.
The American public is basically tired of being kept in the dark. They've got nobody trusts government anymore, and rightfully so. Nobody should trust government anymore. It's been lie after lie after lie, and now we were told to expect arrests and all exposure of these cases and all the co-conspirators, and now nothing. And that's why people are frustrated, because it's just more and more reasons, many more reasons not to trust government. When they found Rex Heuermann, so many people said, he was framed. He may very well be the Gilgo Beach killer, but nobody believes it because they're so used to being lied to.
Yeah, it's true.
So,
It's true.
on to our next thing.
Can't keep lying.
Yeah, we're conditioned now we're expecting to be lied to. So when we're hit with the truth, whether it's the truth or a lie, we just assume it's a lie.
Yeah.
So, Pam, come out with something. At this point, InfoWars is talking about how they gave you an F on your report card.
Yeah.
RFK got, I think, a C because they're expecting RFK to be doing something.
From the Know Your Enemies podcast, you get an F. Step your job up. Let's go. Let's get some arrests
RFK
going
too. We
already.
want some changes. We want Roundup off the shelves. No more Roundup. It's not necessary. We don't need Roundup for starters. And there's a million other things out there. We want to see the chemtrail programs ended. We want you to come out and tell us what the chemtrail programs are about, why they're being done. We want to know what the problem is with the weather. Be forthright. The American public can handle the truth, and we want the truth.
Exactly. And speaking of the truth, Donald Trump signed an executive order today making sure you're telling the truth about being a citizen before you actually vote in our elections. So that's proof of citizenship on a federal level just to get into our elections. And there you go. That's it right there. Preserving and protecting the integrity of the American elections. Yeah. So promises made, promises kept once again. What a feeling, man. You have somebody that actually sticks to their word. It's a real good feeling when you see it come.
Well, we already know that the left handed out thousands and thousands of Social Security cards and let people on the voter rolls that were illegal immigrants.
Yeah.
So that came out this past week.
Yeah. Doja's doing a really good job.
It may have been millions of people that were actually put on our voter rolls. They were given Social Security cards and all of the benefits. I think they said that California has $9 billion a year going to Medicaid benefits to illegal immigrants in just California. think that's what I heard.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But what's crazy is that the left doesn't believe any of this. They think it's all fabricated.
Yeah.
They just don't believe anything unless they're being told it by CNN or MSNBC.
Yeah, that's like they have all of the people believing that the tariffs are going to completely destroy the country.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, he's tariffing things, and that means the prices are going to go up. I'm like, do you understand how tariffs work? Oh, no. Well, then you don't understand your argument of why you're here, and you're arguing with people.
When he says reciprocal tariffs, he's just charging what we're being charged ourselves.
Yeah, he's leveling the field. That's
leveling the playing field.
That's all he's doing, making it even, right? And then check this out. These are tariffs that are good for the country, right? Even if he's not leveling the field and he's putting extra tariffs on certain companies, like manufacturers, like computer chip companies, like those people right there that used to be in America and now left. You know what we need to do, and it's very smart, is he's using the power of the tariff to get these companies back into America. Because if you were a company and you left here, let's say back when the NAFTA agreement was signed and you shipped your stuff overseas, and now you're importing chips back into here for the computers and everything else we need. Now Trump's going, hey, guess what? Not only am I leveling the playing field for the tariffs that you impose on us, but now I'm going to raise a 500% tariff on your goods coming into the country. You know what that means? That means that the country that these plants are in, the chips aren't getting distributed to those countries because they're poor countries. So what they're doing is they're sending those chips back to America to be bought. So if their main purchaser of the chips or whatever it may be goes, you know what? I'm good. I don't want them no more. They're going to go to zero profit quicker than you could say anything. And they're going to move their entire plant back to America to start producing in-house again, so they don't have to pay those absorbent costs to ship their products back into the U.S. So it's a win-win for us. And then once we tariff all these other countries, we start becoming a manufacturer again in America. We can start charging people to export our products out because we make things better in America. Our steel's better. And China's going to get cut.
Absolutely. I told you what happened with that trailer hitch I bought off Amazon from China. First use on a 20,000-pound trailer hitch right in front of the way station at the Brookhaven Town dump. My trailer hitch snapped on first use. It was a 20,000-pound rated. I only had like 9,000 pounds of weight on the trailer hitch. It snapped. The first thing the Brookhaven employees said to me was, if that was on the LIE, that could have easily killed somebody. I mailed it back to Amazon, and I bought a new one from West Trailers in Calverton. Yeah. And, these products, you're putting other people's lives at risk by buying Chinese products on Amazon, eBay, and so forth.
There's a guy on YouTube where he has a, what are those things, a hydraulic press. And he smushes things just to smush them. And the guy's, he's super viral. Yeah. So he'll take like a sledgehammer from back in like 1930 sledgehammer, 1940 sledgehammer, and put it in a vise. And that thing does not even, doesn't even move.
Right.
He takes an American one that's made here, even now with the steel that we get, and the thing just buckles. He takes a Chinese one, and it smushes like a pancake.
So you're saying the American one buckles a little bit?
Yeah, the old school one
won't even buckle.
Doesn't even move. That's how solid the steel was,
Yeah.
High-grade steel.
Me personally, I buy tools on eBay periodically, because I had inherited them from my grandfather and realized that these tools from the 1920s, 1910 were really, really great tools. So I cherish them. Certain things like pry bars. The pry bars from those days, they called them crate openers. And they're forged with such strength, and they're designed to be much better at removing like things like molding or lifting up a granite countertop to put a shim in there without damaging the cabinets. And they're just very sharp, very strong, and designed with precision. And nowadays, you can't find that. Even if you're buying like an East Swing pry bar or whatever, you're not getting the quality that they had back in the early 1920s, 1910. And, the tools, the steel, it needs to come back to Pennsylvania. That's what we need. The steel to be made right here in the United States, preferably right in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, yep. And it's coming back. They're going to come back. We're going to get, the oil production going again. And
bottom line is when we're sending these jobs, these companies overseas and allowing them to bring their goods back to the United States, the people making these items, like the microchips or so forth, they are most likely underage children. Many could have been trafficked. It's like child slavery, whether it be India or Malaysia or Taiwan with the microchips. So Donald Trump wants to get them back into the United States to employ Americans and make America employed again.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. You hear all the Doge savings we got for the week?
Yeah.
Yo, listen to this. There was cancellation of 105 contracts with a ceiling value of $935 million, resulting in approximately $580 million in savings. Among these was a $1.3 million National Science Foundation consulting contract for a fitness service center. Are you serious?
Insanity. But what it is it's patronage. It's patronage money going to friends and family of the Democrat crime family.
Yeah. So without Doge, the American people would know none of this stuff.
It would continue.
None of it. And it's crazy. It's staggering. The hundreds of billions of dollars. Like maybe 20 years ago, the word billion, we didn't hear too much. But now it's thrown around left and right, everywhere. 30 billion, 50 billion, 128 billion. It's crazy.
400,000 Social Security numbers and personal information from Social Security database were given out.
Yep.
So was it a leak or was it just Social Security numbers given to illegal immigrants?
So what they were doing was when the immigrants were coming in, when they were giving them their paperwork, they were giving them Social Security numbers, like on the books ones, like as if they were new people.
So, yeah, basically the Biden crime family made a pathway to get these people on the voter rolls.
Yeah.
And they were trying to steal swing states is what they were trying to do.
100%. And this has been going on for a long time. This was going on under Obama. It was going on under Clinton. It just, under Biden, it exploded. And he wasn't even conscious half of his term. You know, like
Well, you know what they say, ignorance is no excuse is no reason to not be prosecuted. Just because you're ignorant or senile doesn't mean you're not chargeable and convictable.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So
I
back to Pam Bondi. You know, let's see some arrests. Let's see some action.
Yeah, whoever signed off on these Social Security numbers being given out is suspect number one, right? And then you go after all the people that voluntarily carried out the actions of putting these Social Security numbers out there fraudulently, because that is a crime. So we're going to be taking a break here in a couple minutes, but yeah, it's ridiculous how long this has went on for, and how much money have we been just extorted through the course of our lives, and our prosperity for the future just robbed.
What do you think our first target should be? Whoever's responsible for the handing out of Social Security cards, or the people that illegally jumped on our voter rolls when they're not even American citizens?
Yeah, that's also a crime. But then how do you charge them when they're not even citizens? What do we charge them with? Deport them?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know? But it makes no sense whatsoever.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back in a few minutes. We're going to take a commercial break, and we'll be right back with some more of Know Your Enemies podcast.
We're going to show you the hypocrisy, and then we'll be right back. Watch us mainstream fake news.
Coming from the America First warehouse.
Yeah.
The dehumanizing rhetoric of Adolf Hitler, Donald Trump's language, mirrors this directly.
Well, Hitler was duly elected.
Let's deal with Hitler, okay?
I don't think it's hyperbolic to say that is Mussolini Hitler-like language.
You say Nazi enough times, someone's going to actually have the guts to do it.
Donald Trump would invoke Adolf Hitler.
What percentage of this event happening was due to Donald Trump's rhetoric?
Don't miss Trump next time.
What do you make of the excess deaths?
None of us, not the president, not those hypothetical guys in the smoky rooms, fully know what's going on, but we can speak about the unfolding of recent history with certainty.
Donald Trump is an existential threat to our democracy.
That is not how it works. That is a threat to democracy.
No. No.
You anti-Semitic piece of
When you make it difficult for people in their lives, they lose their ideological bullshit.
Free fries when you get vaccinated? Vaccination.
America First Warehouse was really the most patriotic venue that you can ever imagine. We wanted to build something for people to be able to come to and feel so comfortable and so relaxed, because there is nothing out there like it. We give an opportunity for people to really feel good about themselves and about this great country.
We're back.
We're back, baby.
At the America First Warehouse, the most patriotic venue in all the land.
Yeah, make sure you guys get your tickets, man. If you're in the Long Island area, I don't know what you're waiting for. If you haven't been to this place yet, you got to go to theamericafirstwarehouse.com, click on events, get your tickets. We have a lot of stuff going on. There's always some type of event, a venue.
New movies coming out. They have movie nights, dances, parties.
Yeah. So I have a protest announcement. So Moms for Liberty is going to need some backup on this one. They still, as you know, Prop 1 has passed in New York State. And being that it passed in New York State, it's giving the schools the power to keep the gender thing going, where you have to let women play men and women's sports and the bathroom thing and all that. So there's going to be a protest going on Wednesday, April 2nd, 4:45. It's going to be at 240 Mastic Beach Road in Mastic Beach. And it's a Board of Education meeting. Everybody's got to show up. We got to keep the men out of women's sports. So, it's, we still have to battle this here in New York on a state level because, people let Proposition 1 pass, which was ridiculous. I'm not sure. I guess not enough people knew about it for whatever. But as of right now, the New York State Constitution has been amended to include transgenders and all these other goblins into the Health or Human Rights Equality Act or whatever it is for New York State. So it gives them certain protections. So that's why the schools feel like they have a stance. So anytime there's a drag queen story hour or a man and women's sports or whatever it is, all right, we have to show up in masses and
Preferably
let them know.
to the school board meetings.
Yeah, and let them know that this
Many
will not
of the
be
school boards
tolerated.
are being taken over by far left radicals, and we need to basically be aware of what we're electing on our school boards. That's a very important role, and these are very important races. So definitely pay attention to who you're voting for and whether or not you're even aware, because you need to be.
Exactly. And once again, that's Moms for Liberty, Suffolk County, biological man on girls, and William Floyd varsity track team. Wednesday, April 2nd, 4:45 is the start. Board of Education meeting, 240 Mastic Beach Road in Mastic Beach. So show up and let your voice be heard. And we also got one more. We got an event coming up at the America First Warehouse. We have the Newlywed Games. It's going to be the first of its kind. It's going to be an epic time. And if you think you know your love of your life or your spouse or your wife or your girlfriend or whatever it may be, and you want to bring them up here and play some games in a game show format, it's going to be a really good time. So come up here, might be good, might not be good for, depending on if you've been on your P's and Q's in your relationship. But
Well, if you're paying attention, I know a lot of Americans aren't, you got to pay attention.
Yeah.
Know what your woman likes and doesn't like.
yeah, so you got comedian Fred Rubino. He's going to be here running the show, and it's called the Not So Newlywed. It's at the America First Warehouse, Saturday, April 15th, 2025. Doors open at 7 p.m. Show starts at 8. It's $20 per person. Purchase tickets in advance online by Thursday, April 3rd at the AmericaFirstWarehouse.com. Let's go. So, yeah, man. That's it for the announcements for updates and venues.
Okay, the Newlywed Game Show is on the 5th.
Oh, I might have made a little mistakey there. It's on the 5th. It's on the 5th, so make sure you check it out. Just go online, and you'll find the details, the America First Warehouse.
Yeah, check out the America First Warehouse Facebook page. There'll be updates.
Yeah. So you'll be safe here, but you know where it's not safe? In New Mexico, apparently.
Yeah, I heard it was firebombed. The Republican headquarters was firebombed.
Yeah, I think I got a picture of the aftermath of this place. Let's see.
In New Mexico, the Republican headquarters was firebombed.
Yeah, and then they wrote ICE equals KKK on there. How loving, how liberal, right? So this is more of the left just showing their true colors of how they like to burn, loot, and murder, like BLM stands for, burn, loot, and murder. And that's all they know how to do. If they don't get their way, they throw tantrums, they get violent, they kick and scream on the floor. And it's just ridiculous. You know, to firebomb anywhere is crazy. And it's not the first time. I'm sure they Molotov cocktailed that place just like they did with the dealership. And that guy got caught, you know.
Well, what happens to these people? Do we know what happens to them? Are they being charged with arson? Are they being convicted?
What I'm hearing right now is the Department of Justice wants to charge these people with terrorism, which is good, which is 20 years in jail. So bye-bye. Keep it up. Keep going. And you want to know something? If you want to be a terrorist, I don't think we need terrorists in this country. So we're going to send your ass over to El Salvador, too.
I don't know why the left doesn't equate the ramifications of their actions.
No, they don't, because they don't have functioning brains.
Right.
You know, they're working off.
It's like I said. It's like they're programmed, like MK Ultra programmed.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Mind-boggling.
The only way to get through to these people is to act like you're on their side.
And I noticed they're so quick to get physical.
Vaxxers turn out to be so dangerous.
They're quick to try and pull your hat off.
And these people aren't even tough.
Right.
They're not even tough.
Trip up, they fall on their face.
Yeah, they'll initiate the first action where they'll like try to smack a hat off your head. But as soon as you start fighting, they're on the floor knocked out. Like, these people aren't tough. They got no heart. They're not courageous. They're just misled, and they let their emotions get the best of them, and then they throw themselves in positions that when they wake up, they wish they weren't in. You know, it's crazy. So, you know.
So the pilot study of the COVID shots, alarming increase in myocarditis.
Yeah. So I got a crazy conversation with Tucker Carlson and another doctor that did some studies about the pilots. And when she checked the data with the pilots and, you know, certain disabilities and stuff like that, after 2021, the disability rates skyrocketed through the charts and amongst pilots. So,
I wouldn't be surprised if that has some kind of correlation between all the flight, like the lack of being able to keep a scheduled flight. I know it's very, very hard. Flights are constantly being delayed and canceled, and they're never running on time anymore.
Yeah, well, they're saying that because they made all these pilots take the hokey pokey, so now they're all messed up.
I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Let's see what Tucker and the docs got to say about this.
Vaxxers turned out to be so dangerous. It killed so many people. It's a fact. I mean, it's in the VAERS program. These are not conspiracy theories. It's like, that's a fact. That it does make you wonder, like, what would you want? I don't want to fly in a plane with vaccinated pilots because I think it's too dangerous. But are there numbers on this?
Oh, yeah.
So tell me what they are.
We started getting phone calls. I know somebody that's sick, or I know this, or I know that. So we just put a data collection link up, and it got so intense that I said, you know what? I'm going to stop everything. I'm going to write my dissertation, and I'm going to study the vaccine injury amongst commercial airline pilots. It was about 7 months of data collection, 1,600 plus respondents across the industry. And understand the population is about 80-20 vaxxed, right? My study actually came out about 50-50 because a whole bunch of my unvaccinated friends wanted to help, which watered down my numbers, but it actually makes them that much more powerful. Because at 50-50, if I found this, what would I have found at 80-20? And what I found is Commercial airline pilots in the United States are suffering pericarditis and myocarditis at rates exceeding the CDC's national average. And I proved it to a 98%, plus or minus 4 in that regards. But I have the charts from American, Southwest, and from the Unionet United, the disability rates post December of 21 shoot through the ceiling. Right? They're off the charts, and they're getting worse by the day. The problem is, I went to the union and I said to the national president in an email, and I have it in my dissertation, it's published online, I found this. We need to address this. And he says, oh, no. You know what? That's in the past. That might be disruptive to unity.
Crazy. Destructive to unity, the truth, and the underlying effects of this whole vaccination campaign that went out. You know, it's ridiculous now. You know,
I wouldn't doubt for a second that there's a correlation between all the flight delays and cancellations and the ill pilots.
Yeah. And there's so many people. Like, I got aggravated earlier today because Andrew Cuomo was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to run. Yo, you should be in jail, dude. You should be in jail. You got so many people's grandmothers, mothers, fathers, grandfathers killed.
Nurses fired.
Nurses fired, and they basically extorted everybody into keeping their job. Or, hey, you want to go to a bowl game? You want some French fries? Like they said in the ad. And, all of these people should be in jail. All of them. Because they poked the finger at us real quick, and they said that, oh, we're going to murder the elderly because we're not vaccinated, or we shouldn't be allowed anywhere because we're not vaccinated.
Yep.
Like, how does
we
that
were
make
treated
sense?
like crap.
Yep.
Because we didn't want to get a vaccination that was suspect.
Yeah, we knew it was BS the entire time, right? First of all, I looked up COVID. As soon as they announced COVID and like, oh my God, it's this big world pandemic thing, I already knew about the Rockefeller Foundation. I already knew about Crimson Contagion and all these other pandemic simulations that they came out with in the past. So I was like kind of pre-primed for this one.
I
So
watched the documentary back in like 2009.
Yeah. So
we
as
knew
soon-
it was coming.
Yeah,
We're awake.
As soon as they mentioned it, I looked up the patent for it, found the patent, saw who was behind the patent, saw what went into the funding. And I said, oh, shit, this is World Health Organization, Bill Gates, all over it with the CCP.
And we saw Event 201.
And then me and him didn't comply. Like, me and him met over 10 years ago. So when COVID happened, we were, like, already well into how long we knew each other. And he was like, yo, you complying with any of this shit? I was like, nope. He's like, either am I. So this guy was walking around with a necklace you could have got on Amazon that said heart arrhythmia. You remember that shit?
Yep.
Yo, wherever we went.
Cannot wear a mask, heart arrhythmia.
Yeah. And then I
used to post on Facebook all the time that I don't wear masks or condoms.
Yeah. So he used to walk around with the chain, and I had the executive order. You can still look it up today. It's Executive Order 202.17. It was signed by Andrew Cuomo, right? And when you look at the verbiage of the order, it says that this order shall be applied in a manner that's consistent with Americans with disabilities, human rights law, or any other provision of law, right? And then all the way at the bottom, it said, those who are able to medically tolerate a face covering shall be required to cover your face, your nose and mouth in a public setting, yada, 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 unless you're under the age of 2. So I printed out that letter and I highlighted able to medically tolerate, right? And then I went down to the bottom. This executive order has to be in compliance with the yada, yada, yada. And then I just printed it out, folded it up, kept it in my wallet, and no matter where I went, and they were like, sir, your mask, I'd pull out this executive order, put it in their face, and they don't understand it. They just look at it, and I'm like, look, it's signed by Andrew Cuomo. And they're like, okay, sorry. And I never put one mask on, not one PCR test, anywhere, not one, the entire time they were doing that. I was in hospitals, doctors' offices, and all over the place, and around millions of people, and I'm still here to tell the tale.
My doctor's still pushing the jab on me.
It's crazy. Yo,
They don't stop. They're getting paid.
It's all right. You got, you got to record it and have the conversation with him without him knowing you're recording him, and then just be like, yeah, man, here you go, doc. What about the pericarditis? What about myocarditis? What about the fiber clots that grow from the mRNA technology and those synthetic
Graphene
spike
oxide.
proteins? Yeah, and the graphene that self-replicates.
Yep.
Yeah.
They don't even know. They're just getting paid to give the shot.
Yeah, that's why you gotta be careful, man. Your doctor will leave you
No
right
more
off a
than your
cliff.
doctor. No more than your doctor. My friend Gavin told me my brother got attacked by a dog 2 weeks ago, and one of my friends called me up from Mexico. He took off to Mexico. His name is Gavin Siem. Very good guy. Very super intelligent. He was an American that he saw the way the judicial system was being weaponized against him, and he took off to Mexico, and he hit me up and said, put honey in that wound. So I said, I've never heard of that. Let me look into it. And sure enough, there's a ton of information on the internet. I asked my brother's doctor, and he said, yeah, honey's great, but the hospital doesn't give it out, so I'm not really allowed to let you. I can't be administering it, but no more. No, you educate yourself.
Yeah.
Don't just take what the doctor gives you. This doctor told me to my face and my brother that it works awesome, but he's not allowed to give to him because it's not in the hospital's inventory.
Yeah, look up the old remedies, not the new ones. The old ones where it was before the Rockefellers actually took over the Institute of Medicine, right? So make sure you look up the old cures because that's where it's at. Like
God gave us everything we need.
He did 100%, and
all glory be to God.
Majority of the medications are plant derived anyway. As long as they're not synthetic, they're plant derived, and that's 90% of the medications. If they're not petroleum based.
So I went on Amazon. I looked up medical honey, and there was a ton of different medical honey manufacturers. I ordered a couple of them for my brother, and the doctor said as soon as you get out of the hospital, you can start using it. But here in the hospital, you're not allowed.
Yeah.
So
honey.
Yeah, but it's medical honey, and apparently it's very, very good.
Yeah.
So the doctor agreed. It's very, very good. And doctors are aware of a lot of these things, but they don't administer them because it's not part of the hospital's regimen of approved diagnosis or treatments.
Yeah.
So you definitely have to educate yourselves. Don't just accept that, if my foot hurts, I better get some kind of painkiller for it. No.
Yeah.
Look for a CBD cream. Look for something that's natural.
And remember who caused the opioid epidemic? That was the doctors. Right? It wasn't drug dealers hanging out in the corner trying to sell everybody pills. That was your pill push doctors that were like, oh, yeah, you got a pain in the back, you got this, and he prescribed you your Oxycontins and all these
There's
other
documentaries. What's that documentary called?
I'm not sure.
But we'll talk about it again in the next episode. There's
Yeah,
a documentary about the opioid addiction.
That's what it was. It was the doctors. The doctors pushed out on the public, and then all of a sudden had opioid crisis that turned into they went in the pills, and then when the pills weren't available, they took their pills supply away. They ran over heroin, and then the heroin disappeared. They ran over fentanyl and crank and all this other weird. And now we have a population that's sad, man. You have mothers, fathers, people's sons, daughters that are just out on the street, eating out of trash cans, addicted to heroin. And
the whole population of people, the whole society of drug addicted people.
Yeah, it's horrible.
And it was started by Big Pharma.
And Big Pharma, who pumped all the money into Big Pharma, that was Rockefeller. So at the end of the day, you have certain key families and bloodlines that were the architects and engineers of where we are today, and it was done on purpose. It wasn't done to empower you. It was done to enslave you. And then they used us to build up their artificial system with the AI and all these computers, and they don't need us anymore. So, they're just going for broke. They're just pushing the wagon off the cliff, and they're like, we don't need the wagon no more. It's all right. So it's going to be up to us to secure the future for our kids and nobody else. So it's up to you, everybody in your household. You have to have the conversations. You have to wake them up.
Right.
And because there's that's
what it boils down to. Don't just leave it to the education system.
There's a lot of evil forces
have the
in this
conversations
world.
with your kids.
Yeah, and point out the evil forces in the world. Half of them come from music, right? Music is the gateway into everyone's household.
Which
right?
leads us into our next topic of conversation.
Everybody's children listen to music, right? And it starts off innocent. They have their little Disney puppets that come in, and they're so innocent and angelic. And then after 5 years of them listening to them, now they're infatuated. And they love these people, and they're their idols. Now all of a sudden, the clothes come off, the lipstick turns black, and they're doing satanic occult rituals on the screen. And your little kid's like, "Yeah, this is my favorite." So everybody knows who Jay-Z is. And
everybody knows.
A lot of people don't know the dark secrets that go on inside the music industry. So this is a lady named Miriam Abramovic.
And just so
she's
you know,
a satanic witch.
She was appointed a position. She was an ambassador. She was appointed to a position in government by our previous administration.
So this is Jay-Z hanging out with her doing a song. And this is her. If you ever heard this term spirit cooking, I brought you the video where you could actually see her taking all this mixture of blood and semen and I'm not even going to get into the rest. It's disgusting. But this is what she's doing. Let's bring that up. So the lady painting on the wall is having some type of ceremony. So this is normal behavior in the music culture. In Hollywood, they all participate in these weird activities. Look, she's real close to him, forehead to forehead, spinning around. So this is what goes on behind the scenes with your favorite celebrities and icons.
And just so you guys know, I just Googled what she was appointed to, Marina Abramovic. She was appointed to Ukraine's ambassador for rebuilding schools in Ukraine by President Zelensky.
That's convenient. We
So
all
you're
saw.
going to put her in contact with the children.
Yeah, yeah, and Zelensky's the one parading around like a fairy in all these different weird outfits and like a glitter man or something. But yeah, so these are the people behind the scenes of what they do and the ceremonies they have. And
She paints with bodily fluid.
Yes.
That's what she does. She paints with bodily fluid.
That's disgusting.
And they gave her an ambassador position. That's why President Trump wants nothing to do with Zelensky. He knows that he's corrupt. He knows he's tainted by the devil, and he worships the devil, apparently, because Marina Abramovic does.
Yeah, that's not normal. Nobody of God would paint with blood, urine, semen, breast milk. It's just like those are the ingredients. If you look up spirit cooking, it's disgusting. And nobody of God would want to do those things or
President
mimic
Trump's not
that
stupid. He knows Zelensky's a piece of dirt.
Yeah.
And that all his function was for the past 4.5 years is taking money from our pockets and putting it back in the Democrats' pockets who gave it to the Ukraine.
Because they're all in the club.
They're all in the club.
They're all in the club. And you know who tried to warn us about the club a long time ago? George Carlin.
Yes.
You know, he was a funny guy. He was really funny.
Excellent.
And a lot of times he would tell jokes where it would sound so funny because it was so real. And this man was ahead of his time because he was giving us basically flat out warnings. And we were laughing at him. And they were flat out warnings, stern warnings. Let's roll some Carlin and let's get this guy talking about the clubs. What type of clubs?
You know something? They'll get it. They'll get it all from you sooner or later because they own this fucking place. It's a big club, and you ain't in it. You and I are not in the big club. And by the way, it's the same big club they used to beat you over the head with all day long when they tell you what to believe. All day long, beating you over the head in their media, telling you what to believe, what to think, and what to buy. The table is tilted, folks. The game is rigged. And nobody seems to notice. Nobody seems to care in the club.
This video is brought to you by James Justice, UCNY News. Share this,
which is
be sure to subscribe, and let's expose these sickos to the world.
I don't care about God.
Let's go, America!
Here's your Monster Energy drink. 666 right on the front of the can. And these are all your famous logos. These are actually sigils and Masonic emblems and all types of stuff that they hide in plain view because they know damn well the public is too stupid to even look into it, to study it, or to understand it.
Or to care.
Or to care.
They're too busy. They're programmed, indoctrinated, brainwashed.
Yeah, and this goes back to all these people. They don't gain power, fame, and fortune without selling out. And that's why they all make the same poses. They all worship the same gods, right? They don't worship our God. They worship the occult gods. And that's why they have to make all these hand symbols and symbolism to basically show you where their roots lie. And It's no
Where
different.
their allegiance is.
Yeah, it's no different than the Bloods and the Crips that are throwing up B's and throwing up C's
No
at each
different.
other. You know, that's how they identify each other. It's the same thing with secret societies.
There's more innocence in the Bloods and Crips.
Yeah, there's way more innocence in the Bloods and Crips, and that goes to say a lot because, you know, you have these secret brotherhoods and secret orders that the average man would never understand.
Bloods and Crips are just trying to control drug distribution in neighborhoods.
Yeah.
These people are worshiping the devil.
Yeah, and they're carrying out a Luciferian agenda that goes back a very, very, very long time. All right, and you're talking about from the beginning of mankind when everything.
And they're powerful
started.
people. They're the people that are putting they're registering the patents that are in the vaccinations. Go on.
Yeah. So like basically, they're anything that has to do with God and His creation, they want to delete completely. Right, and it's right in your face. Right, so people that worship the devil, what do? They take the cross and they flip it upside down. They invert the cross, right? So that's their way of disrespecting God. So if God's most precious creation was man, and we are where we are now, what do you think that the fallen angel Lucifer would want? Right? He wanted to take the throne of God and become a god himself, right? And rule, and that's what it was about. And we're talking about on a spiritual level. Now, when you play that out in reality now, the people that are in control, what do they want to do? They want to genetically modify the food. They want to genetically modify the man, right? They want to inject us with these spike proteins. So every action that these people are doing, whether it's the Environmental Protection Agency, whether it's the CDC, whether it's the FDA, right? The FDA poisons us. Who put those people in position? The Democrats, right? And all their little minions, they got into position. But what agenda are they actually carrying out? If they're really smart, they'll go, wait a second, these are poisons we're putting into food to the population.
In the vaccines as well.
And,
Loaded with poisons.
Yeah, everything
Monkey
is poison.
brains, right?
Yeah. No, well, it's green monkey kidney tissue. Right, and then you have aborted baby fetal cells, you have aluminum, formaldehyde, you have mercury, you have polysorbate 80, which we talked about last week, that opens up the blood-brain barrier. The blood-brain barrier is supposed to protect the brain from anything getting in there. It opens it right up. So they're, destroying the future generations of the
These
nation.
are powerful people. So back to Bloods and Crips are way more innocent than these people, and many of them are in Hollywood and in politics.
Yeah, it's good and evil, and everybody has a driving force behind them. It's either you're motivated to do good or you're motivated to lie, cheat, and steal.
We're on the side of God over here.
And that's
we
it.
worship God, Jesus Christ.
Yep.
All glory be to God.
And you have to wear the armor of God to go slay these demons, because these people are wicked.
Pray. Start your day off with a prayer.
Yeah, you have to, man. You got to hit your knees once in a while and thank God for all your blessings that you have and for the strength that puts you in the position that you are today, because we're all powerful in our own way. It's just realizing that instead of looking out all the time, sometimes we have to reflect back in and build ourselves up, because a lot of people don't have time to
Ask God for the strength you need to be aware of all of the lies and deception around us and your children.
Yeah. And with that, I think we're going to close this episode and get out of here.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for tuning in once again to Know Your Enemies podcast, located at the America First Warehouse.
Yeah. We'll see you guys on the next one.